Der junge britische Künstler George Jacques ist ein Multitalent. Schauspieler, Produzent, Autor und Regisseur. In der Berlinale-Sektion für junge Leute, Generationen, zeigt er seinen neuen Film. Eine schwungvolle und herzerwärmende Coming-of-Age-Komödie vor einem ernsten Hintergrund. Sunny Dancer. Nachdem die 17-jährige Ivy den Krebs besiegt hat, schicken ihre Eltern sie in ein Sommerlager für von Krebs betroffene Jugendliche, wohin sie anfangs überhaupt nicht will. Doch im Laufe der Zeit schließt sie innerhalb der Gruppe unerwartete Freundschaften und erlebt im Chemocamp einen unvergesslichen Sommer, der ihr Mut und Lebensfreude schenkt. George Jacques Pressekonferenz zu Sunny Dancer.
Hello.
Hello. Hi. Wow, this is intense.
I'm in a UN press conference. Sup. Sorry, wrong number.
Good afternoon to you all. I'll let the photographers grab their snaps for a second longer, and then we'll start this press conference. Okay. Hello and welcome to the 76th Berlinale and this press conference for a fabulous film that's going to be opening the generation section, Sunny Dancer. There we go. My name is Anna Serene and I'm a programmer in Generation, which features some of the best youth cinema in the world, of which this film is obviously a part. Let me introduce our guests to you, starting with producer Ken Petrie. Singer-songwriter Este Heim. 5 members of this stellar cast are here today, beginning with Earl Cave. Jasmine Elcock. Conrad Khan. Ever a twinkle in his eye, Neil Patrick Harris. And the supremely talented Bella Ramsey. By my side is the writer and director of this second feature, isn't it, George? George Jakes. The warmest of welcomes to you all, and we're really delighted to have you with us in Berlin. Hands up if it's your first time in town. There we go. How's it been so far?
Fun.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I love it. Yeah. Seems great. Yeah. Everyone's nice. Thanks for having us. Yeah.
Glad to have you with us. George, I'll kick us off with the first question. The film always sort of finely balances the tragic and the comedic. It must have been quite difficult for you, either in terms of the writing or directing this fabulous cast, to walk that tightrope. How was it? Was it tricky?
Yeah, I think, we never wanted to go in making a depressing cancer film. There's so many films that are sort of in this genre that are pretty miserable. And we were like, let's fuck it up and just do it totally different. And I think for us, it was about, let's actually have a lot of fun on set and try and make it feel light. There's obviously moments in the film that are very serious. And we treated them with respect and all of that. But I think for the most part, it was, let's have a lot of fun and let's make this the most feral coming of age film of 2026.
Done. And how was it to work with this amazing cast? I mean, so many of them have such a broad range. It must have been exhausting, actually, to sort of corral them into...
Yeah, they're exhausting. Yeah,
Yeah.
No, it was the best. I mean, you know, it was my second feature. I wrote it when I was 23, and we started setting it up, Ken and I, when I was 24. And you sort of, you know, you have these dreams of who you want to cast, and then all of a sudden, your casting directors, so Daniel Edwards, Lucy Allen, and Tom Payne, who did Heartstopper, they call you and they go, look, we think we should go to Bella Ramsey. And you're like, well, they're not going to do it. And then next thing, we were on a Zoom together, you know, and it sort of started with Bella and Ruby at first, and then we got to build out the ensemble with the rest of the young gang, and then we got the wonderful Neil on board, and then we had James and Jess, and it just kept growing. And I think for me, it was, you know, it was looking at that and going, wow, I'm so lucky as a director, because they are such different performers, but everyone just jumped into the same boat, you know, and that was so special. We sort of did a week of rehearsal and then had a lot of fun, and there was so much respect and kindness.
The complicity is obvious, so congrats on that. Congrats to you all. I'm ready to take questions from the floor. Do we have some for our fabulous team? Yep.
Hi, I'm Zach from London, speaking with Feature First. Congratulations on the film. And my question is to Bella. Earlier, I think to the Hollywood Reporter, you mentioned how you're switching your focus to independent films, as with Sunny Dancer, and that you're taking a step back from more major Hollywood projects like The Last of Us and Game of Thrones. And that reminded me of something Carrie Coon said recently about how she had to do The White Lotus to lead her own Broadway show. So how do you feel about this kind of clash between independent cinema and mainstream cinema as an artist that's trying to tell your own story and choosing what interests you?
Yeah, thank you for your question. I'll talk about it in terms of Sunny Dancer. It was like for me, it was like the best possible way to make a film, not just an independent film. It just like the sort of blueprint of it that George and Ken like created. I want to like direct in the future, and you've literally given me, George and Ken literally gave a blueprint of how to like make a film, basically, and do it with kindness and generosity. It never felt exploitative, and I think film often, and this industry often can, and it just was like the most joyous 6 weeks spent in Scotland. Everybody so wanted to be there. I think that's what's so special about a low-budget independent film, is that everyone's there because they want to be there, and we want to make something really special, and it's even more, the sort of family experience of being on any set is amplified by being on an independent feature like this. And yeah, Sunny Dancer was honestly like the best experience I've had in my career so far, and it will be like very hard to top, and it's like a big statement, but it's like honestly the truth. It was like probably the best professional 6 weeks, and also probably one of like the best personal 6 weeks of my freaking life. So thanks guys.
We've got a second question up in front.
I have a question to the director, George, and maybe Neil or Bella. I was wondering if you guys consider your art political, and if so, how can movies these days help fight the rise of fascism in Europe and America?
Yeah, I think sometimes the most rebellious thing you can do is be optimistic, and we wanted to make a film about joy. I think, you know, there's so much going on in the world right now, and I wanted to make something that really takes you somewhere else. And, you know, we don't get to see films about joy that much anymore, and that's the heart of this. You know, it's a film with so much love and so much fun. Yes, it's a cancer movie. Yes, all of that happens, but actually it's about this young girl played by Bella who starts falling in love with the world again, and maybe we all need to do a bit more of that.
Neil, do you want to jump in on the politics of joy?
Well, I think we live in a strangely algorithmic and divided world right now, and so as artists I'm always interested in doing things that are apolitical, because we're all as humans wanting to connect in some way. That's why we experience things together. And so when you get to go to a film where you're caring about the people, you're caring about the heart of what's happening, you know, you're watching this film of these young adults growing up under the umbrella of a world where some of them won't. And I think that is so touching and also kind of exciting and rebellious and horny. And like, it's fun to be able to witness that without having to process it through a contemporary lens, right? It is so current and yet timeless. So getting to spend time in strangely sunny Glasgow, Scotland. It didn't rain once, like for the entirety of the time we were there.
It cost us a fortune turning off the rain.
And then getting to just hang out with these amazing people who've had illustrious careers and who are sort of starting their careers. And I don't know, getting to live with them and watch them all grow together as a little group of artists outside of the world conversation was quite unique. Loved doing it.
Thank you. Question over there.
Hi, so I'm Luciana Dolabella from Topicus from Brazil. I would, first of all, congratulations to everybody. The film is marvelous, the director, and also Esther.
Yeah.
The music's marvelous too. And I have one question to the producer. How hard it was to produce it, to finance it, having such a young cast and maybe a still also a very young director. How was it? How hard was it? And for the marvelous young actors and actresses, I wish if you could tell a story. What was the most difficult and the most special thing for you doing your parts?
I mean, in terms of putting it together, you know, the independent film landscape is a challenge, right? Especially a kind of ambitious second feature film. But George Jakes is the sunshine. He brought the sunshine to Scotland. So working with a phenomenally talented filmmaker, you know, what a great start. We brought the project, you know, basically just George and Bella and the script to Cannes in 2024. To the market, and the market wanted the movie. So the landscape was quite flat at the time, but we did a bunch of pre-sales. So across the pre-sales and the UK tax credit, which does make a difference, believe me, we had 89% of the movie financed from the marketplace. And then Screen Scotland, being a Scottish-based producer, they were interested in the project. We were able to shoot it there. So it was maybe a bit more straightforward than it might appear. But talent attracts talent, I think, and George is phenomenal. He wrote a phenomenal script, so phenomenal creatives, talent, actors, musicians, everybody, top to bottom, cast and crew, came together. So it's always hard, but we had a lot of great things going for us and a lot of support, and then the momentum just snowballed. And then I think we all had some fun making it. So.
Oh, yeah.
We have a next question in the middle. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Mary from the German Public Broadcasting, ARD, and I just want to go back. Like, I have a question for you, SD Hayem, but first, I really liked the film. It made me tear up, but it's embarrassing to say it's not political. Without proper health insurance, I wouldn't be here. I had cancer myself, then I wouldn't be here and couldn't do the job. So the film is political, and this festival must be political. But my question for SD Hayem is, what project are you looking forward to? I mean, you've been acting, you've been doing music scores. What is next up? What is scheduled? And is there something creatively you're looking forward to people, to show people?
Thank you for your question. I want to be the composer for George for the rest of my life. I think that's what I'm most looking forward to. I had the most amazing time scoring this movie. With my partner. I had the most amazing time. I love making music with my sisters. I want to do that for the rest of my life as well, till I'm well in my 80s and my 90s, hopefully. But yeah, I'm looking forward to just making more music and having fun, and you know, and being in Berlin is so much fun, and I love being here, and I feel so honored to be amongst this cast and crew, and I really do just I love George. I want to be his, you know, his main...
It's mutual.
Yes, for the rest of my life. But yeah, thank you for your question.
Thank you. We've got another question in the front.
Hi, I'm Anna from Public German Television ZDF. Thank you for this wonderful film. I have a political question to Neil, to you as a US citizen. How do you dare to criticize your government, and do you think that the democracy in the US is in danger?
Wow.
I mean,
I'm not positive that this. I mean, I really am here mostly.
Yeah, maybe it's
in
not
honor
completely
of
relevant
Sunny
to the film.
Dancer.
Yeah.
I mean, I make my own choices as a performer, as an artist, to do just that. Like, what I have done a lot of is hosting the Tony Awards and doing a situation comedy and the Smurfs movie. And so I like to make sure that I feel more the jester in the castle. And so while I have my own political opinions, which are my own, I think as a performer, especially in this kind of movie, it's trying to be as inclusive as possible to as many people as possible. So I never read this script as a political statement. It was much more about a human growing up and having realizations about themselves singularly, and friendship and love. And so that sort of belies a political construct.
Actually, maybe I'll pick up on that. Earl or Jasmine, when Neil talks about realizations about yourselves, your characters also go through quite a journey in the film. Do you want to speak to, what you discovered about yourselves through your characters here?
Yeah, I mean, as soon as we're on set, I don't know what happens, but you just regress into a kid. Like, it's mad. Like, I'm 25. And I'm making jokes that I hadn't made since I was 17 and wouldn't dare do anywhere else, And it's like, and it's happening again, We go away and we don't see each other, and we come back, and it's just like we just fall back into this thing where, and I think that's what's beautiful about the film. That's what's been captured is joy, and I think I mean, kids probably don't even really go to camp anymore, They just stay inside playing video games, And it's kind of mad that this film is nostalgic, because a lot's changed, Yeah.
I will say, for me, I discovered that this whole camp environment, as in the activities and outdoor stuff that we did all together, it really helped me in a way. I similarly didn't really have that much experience growing up in many summer camps and hanging out with friends and that. So it was really fun to do that on set. Yeah.
Some might argue that being together is political enough. Take another question in the back.
Hey guys, Max from London. Firstly, congratulations on such a beautiful film. To all of you, I've had sisters in my head for about a week now, so thanks for that.
Likewise.
Question for Neil. It's not political, don't worry. I'm sure you get offered loads of projects, so firstly, what attracted you to this particular one? And how was it working with such a talented young cast, and especially such a talented young director in George?
Yeah, cheers. Thanks for the question. I'm a proper Anglophile. I love the UK. I love working there whenever I can. So I had reached out to my manager, Jason Weinberg, and said, if there's any a small independent films or something they're filming in the UK, I would love to do that. Simultaneously, he worked with George, and George had said, hey, do you know NPH? Because he would be great to be in this little movie that I'm doing. And those two things hadn't ever, one didn't beget the other. So I did a Zoom call with George, and we got along super swimmingly. He is just the loveliest human. He's incredibly prolific. He writes things very quickly, and then he follows through and films them. He said to me when we first met, he said he likes to have everyone together. He doesn't like the casts that go off into their motorhomes and dressing rooms and then are only called in when they're needed. He wanted a sort of group vibe. And when you're filming, you're it's alchemy, You're trying to figure out how everyone gets together, and that's an an X factor that you just can't determine, whether people are going to get along, whether there's going to be upset or fights, or, you know, that's inevitable. And it never really happened. Like, it was really a joy to be sitting around and doing this. I've often been in movies where I'm not really in the movie. I would like come in and 2 days before my part, I'll film for 5 days and then I'll leave. I'm in the movie, but I don't really feel like I was part of the ensemble of it all. And so I was very excited to be able to do this, and I came early and got to stay for a long time. And it was really lovely to be like considered one of the gang, and we all hung out together and sat on benches and shared stories, and I was very impressed by all of that. Bella had every reason to stay in their dressing room or motorhome if they wanted to, but that wasn't the case, right?
No.
And I think we were all sort of supporting George's idea that we do this together, and I think you can really see it in the movie.
And I think just to add to that, you know, what I think where we got so lucky with this film is we were all making the same film, and I think that doesn't happen the whole time anymore. Our distributors, all the way to the producing team and, you know, the cast, we were all out here trying to do the same thing, you know, and then to be at Berlinale is a sort of total dream come true, you know. We shot this last year, and here we are.
Bella, do you want to say a few words about your character, Ivy? Because they are quite feisty as well. Do you recognize yourself in them?
Yeah, but I feel like I never really got to be a teenager, because I was like working from when I was so young. And then I sort of went from kid to adult, and so the teenage bit I sort of skipped. So it was very liberating and cathartic to get to like do that through Ivy and with this gang. So yeah, I mean, Ivy was someone that I think that I was terrified to play, because she's quite, like, I don't know, she's like quite normal, and I've not played very many like normal people, so it was like scarier because it was more exposing and more vulnerable and more like, I don't know, there was not really anything to hide behind. But yeah, so I definitely found Ivy through the process, found myself in Ivy through the process. It was like a lot of weird parallels going on. But yeah, working with everyone, the gang, what do we call the gang, the squad, and Neil, who was definitely part of it, was a real joy. Yeah. What about you guys, Conrad?
Conrad, do you want to jump in here? Because there are lots of group scenes, and your melancholy shines through as well. It's quite a touching role to see you. And how did you apprehend it?
Yeah, I feel all of these characters, due to their illness, have become quite self-conscious, and maybe a sort of lack of confidence. And they have all had large portions of their childhood snatched away from them, and have to sit in a hospital bed for those years of their life. So this is a chance for them to kind of regain that lost youth, and to go on a zip wire at the age of 18, even if that's not cool, or to scream and re-experience that joy that was taken away. I've kind of gone a bit off the question, but yeah, what did I look? Yeah, I think I'm quite a quiet person, and I brought that into the character, and to do with the self-conscious nature. Yeah, there was bits of me in it.
We've got to watch The Quiet Ones anyways, we know that. Another question.
This is a two-part question. First to Neil. You've previously contributed to charity organizations like American Cancer Society, Stand Up to Cancer, and as this film is obviously about cancer, how did that help inform your perspective and your experience working on this film? And to Esther, it's been 9 years since the Hey and Valentine Paul Thomas Anderson video or film. How's it like working on that film compared to working on this film? And of course, Paul Thomas Anderson had a film last year, One Battle After Another, where your sister was also in the film. Do you have any experience or any thoughts on that film itself? And would you like to work with him again soon?
With Paul Thomas Anderson? Yes. I would love. Sorry, George.
I'll let it go. I think it's pretty special too. I'd like to work with him.
No, I think Paul is, I'm lucky enough to say that Paul is, I can call Paul by his first name. I call him P sometimes, on a first letter basis. No, I think Paul is one of the greatest directors of not just our generation, but of all time. And I feel very, very lucky that I've gotten to work with him on most of the music videos for Haim, and I sort of view him as kind of like my older brother. Sorry, Paul, if that's too much. And then George is like my little brother. So I've got 2 sisters and I have 2 brothers as well. But yeah, if Johnny Greenwood happens to want to retire, I will be right there for Paul whenever he would like. And yeah, my sister was amazing in one battle after another, and I'm so proud of her, and I'm so proud of both of my sisters, and I'm so excited to see what Alana does in the future. On to you, Neil.
Cancer is a very serious issue, very important. I think it's worth discussing because the earlier you can talk about it and the earlier you can detect it, the larger percent of a chance that you can have of stopping it, right? And so keeping the conversation alive is great. I never really considered this a movie that was laden with like cancer as an overlay. I found it much more an interesting British ensemble movie about kids growing up. And then I think the sucker punch of the realities of cancer are what are so impactful. When you watch it, you forget that it's happening, and then you realize that it's happening, and it really hits hard. George told me his own personal stories, and I found those very moving. And I'm sort of parroting what you had told me, really, which was this was a movie taking place at a cancer camp that has nothing to do with cancer, and you've had your own, familial situations with cancer, and so I was just really impressed by that idea. And then I get to play the head of the camp, who's trying very hard to be dad joke, silly, fun, to not have that own the conversation, and yet through the movie you get to learn a little bit more about my backstory. So again, it allows the pathos to bubble up when necessary, but it doesn't need to feel like a movie that's specific to that.
And I think just to touch on that as well, when I was writing, my mum was diagnosed with cancer when I was 15, and she survived, and we're very, very lucky. But I worked a lot with Teenage Cancer Trust, where I'm an ambassador, and I spend a lot of time with young people on the wards and would sort of go around. And what you sort of find is they'll tell you stories about when they're racing up and down in their IV drips, and they'll be doing chemo in Jordans and Ed Hardy jeans. And you're sort of like, why in the media have we never seen that? Where's that film? And that's sort of where it was born out of. And I'm very lucky my editor, who's been a long-term collaborator of mine, she had a personal cancer journey, and we were sat down, and I went, I want to make a cancer film, but I want to make one that's a comedy, and I want you to forget it's a cancer film for a bit, and then when it comes back in, I want it to slap you around the tits. And we sat, and I went, how do I do that? And she went, I used to go on these summer camps for kids affected by cancer. And I went, that's the movie. And then we sort of worked together on that, and I was very lucky. I worked with the #1 child leukemia doctor in the UK, and I met so many amazing people along the way that really shaped this film. And then part of my job was trying to make it, lifting it away from that and sort of making it a film that's actually a coming-of-age movie. The references for me were Lady Bird, Juno, all those incredible, credible films. And that's why I think cancer takes a back seat, but when it really is all the way through this movie, of course it is. And we're doing a lot of work with those charities and a lot of work with young people. We actually cast 2 young survivors in the film, which was the coolest thing I think we did. So yeah, really proud of it.
One more question, I think, up in front.
Just a quick question about the city you are in right now. I mean, coming of age in Berlin means something completely different than probably compared to the rest of the world. Are you guys planning on enjoying the infamous party scene in Berlin this weekend? If so, where are you going to go?
I was so waiting for that question.
Definitely not.
Well, my sister actually lives in Kreuzberg, and my mum is German, and so we know the city quite well, so we've got lots of fun things planned, I think, over the weekend.
George has organised an after party until 4 a.m. today. No, tomorrow, I guess.
That's not late for Berlin.
Yeah, that's just starting. And then probably Berghain afterwards, knowing us.
Yeah, we're going to have fun.
Fingers crossed.
And Jazz, and Conrad, are we going, what are we doing tonight?
I'll see where the night takes me, to be honest.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Any final questions from the room? If not, I wonder whether the cast would indulge me. Could we get a rendition of the Thumbs Dance? Because I'm obsessed. Bella, would you lead us?
Well, someone has to play the music if we're going to do this.
I don't know.
Good.
I don't know it.
You don't know it? Outrageous.
Can we get a count, Neil?
I didn't learn it like you did.
The music comes.
The music
If the music comes, okay. Where's the producer? Ken, have you got the music on your phone?
Probably. You've got the clip. You ran the clip.
Yeah, run the clip.
Can we play the clip, actually? Can I ask
Right, and we're getting up and down.
my colleagues
Come on.
in the technical department if they can play the clip, and then we'll dance our way off stage.
Yeah, we'll dance our way out.
There we go.
Thank you so much, gang.
Yeah, we'll get a picture and then the clip will start.
All right.